They say the government stopped using payphones years ago. But what if I told you some still ring? A man in Detroit swore he heard one. Midnight. No one around. He picked up. A voice whispered his full name and his address. Then it said, "We see you." The next day, he vanished. No trace. Police called it a runaway, but neighbors remember the ringing, always at 3:15 a.m. Here's the conspiracy: those phones were never shut down. They're listening posts, abandoned but alive. Pick up at the wrong time, and you're tagged, watched, erased. So if you ever hear a payphone ring in the dark, don't answer, because the call isn't from this world. It's from the ones deciding who gets to stay in it.
Did you know one American pop star claimed her biggest hit came from a ghost? In the late 1990s, a rising singer told friends she woke up at 3 a.m. A shadowy figure stood in her room, whispering lyrics in her ear. Terrified, she wrote the words down. Those lyrics became the song that made her famous. But after that night, things turned darker. Studio equipment malfunctioned only when she recorded. Backup singers swore they heard a second voice, low, haunting. Not hers. On stage, fans captured photos showing a figure behind her, even though she was alone. Some say she was inspired by genius. Others believe she made a deal with something not human. So tell me, was it talent or a haunting that made her a star? Did you know some people believe the Titanic disaster wasn't an accident at all? The Titanic, the unsinkable ship, sank on its first voyage in 1912, but conspiracy theories claim it wasn't really the Titanic. Some believe it was her nearly identical sister ship, the Olympic. The Olympic had been damaged and was too costly to repair, so the theory says they switched the ships and staged the tragedy for insurance money. Over 1,500 lives were lost that night. Survivors reported strange drills and locked doors before the iceberg strike. Was it truly an accident or a carefully planned cover-up? And if that's true, what else about history have we been lied to about? Did you know Japan has a forest so haunted, people go there to die? At the base of Mount Fuji lies Aokigahara, known as the suicide forest. Dense trees, no wildlife, and so quiet you can hear your heartbeat. For centuries, legends claim spirits wandered here, luring the lost. In modern times, it became infamous for suicides. Hundreds of bodies found. Visitors report hearing whispers, laughter, and seeing shadows between the trees. Compasses spin wildly, as if the forest doesn't want you to leave. Locals say it's cursed ground. Others believe it's a gateway between worlds. So if you stepped inside Aokigahara, do you think you'd ever make it back out? Did you know there's a doll in Japan that's said to grow real human hair? Back in 1918, a little girl got a doll called Okiku. After she passed away, her family believed her spirit entered the doll. They placed it in a temple, and that's when things got weird. People started noticing the doll's hair was growing. Even crazier, the hair was human hair. No matter how many times they cut it, the hair kept growing back. Visitors claim the doll's eyes follow them, and some even hear whispers around the temple. Scientists have never been able to explain it. So, is it just an old story, or is Okiku really alive? Did you know there's a hotel in Japan so cursed that construction workers actually refuse to work there? Back in the 1970s, a wealthy businessman started building a luxury hotel on the island of Okinawa. But soon things started to go horribly wrong. Accidents on the site, workers getting injured, and some even disappearing. Locals warned that the land was sacred, right near ancient tombs and spiritual sites. But the businessman didn't listen until he went there himself. Legend says he went inside one night and came out a completely changed man, mumbling incoherently. Construction halted immediately. Now the hotel stands abandoned, with vines creeping over half-finished walls. People who dare visit say they hear eerie screams echoing through the empty halls and shadows moving across the balconies. So what do you think would you dare spend a night Japan's most haunted hotel? Ever heard of a shrine in Japan filled with thousands of dolls? Some people say these dolls actually move on their own. Up in Hokkaido, Japan, people bring their old, unwanted dolls to a shrine for a kind of ritual goodbye. The belief is that these dolls hold a piece of the owner's spirit. Visitors say the dolls' eyes seem to follow them around, and their faces change, like they're shifting expressions. Local priests perform special ceremonies, chanting to keep the spirits inside the dolls calm. But on some nights, people claim they hear soft giggles, and even see the dolls moving. Scientists say it's all just your imagination. But what if those glassy eyes are actually holding the souls of the people who once owned them? Did you know some mirrors are said to trap reflections that aren't yours? Around the world, people report strange things when staring too long into a mirror. Some say their reflection smiles back, even when they don't. Others swear their reflection lags, moving just a second too late. In Japan, ancient mirrors were believed to hold spirits that watch the living. Some families even covered their mirrors at night to keep things from slipping through. Scientists call it a brain trick, but what if mirrors really show more than just your face? Did you know some buildings in Japan are said to have staircases that never end? Visitors say they've climbed for minutes, even hours, yet never reach the next floor. The stairs repeat, the same cracks, the same shadows. When they turn back, somehow they end up right where they started. Architects insist the buildings are perfectly normal, but witnesses come out pale, shaken, swearing they lost time inside. So what's really hiding between the floors? A design flaw or another dimension? Did you know there are towns in the U.S. that appear on GPS but don't exist in real life? Drivers in the Midwest sometimes notice a strange dot on their maps, a town name complete with streets and buildings. Yet when they arrive, there's nothing, just empty fields, cracked roads, and signs pointing to places that don't exist. Locals claim these phantom towns are traps, ghosts of places erased long ago. Some travelers report finding houses with lights on, but no people inside. Others swear they've seen figures watching from windows, even though the town isn't on any record. Strangest of all, once you enter, your GPS freezes. You can't pin your location. And when you finally leave, the town name vanishes from your map as if it was never there. So tell me, would you stop if you saw a town no one else believes exists? Did you know in Japan, there's a shrine said to change its location overnight? Villagers near Osaka say they've witnessed it for generations. A small wooden shrine, deep in the fields, never stays in the same spot. One evening, it rests beneath a tree. The next morning, it's found beside the river. Priests who tried marking its place discovered their ropes cut clean, as if moved by unseen hands. Travelers who followed the shrine at night reported hearing footsteps behind them. Yet when they turned around, there was nothing, just tall grass swaying. Would you dare spend a night watching a shrine that doesn't stay still? Did you know there's a forest in Hokkaido where every tree seems to reflect you like a mirror? Hikers say the deeper you go, the stranger it feels. Every tree trunk gleams as if polished, reflecting shapes that shouldn't be there. Some claim they've seen themselves, but older or younger. Others report shadows standing beside them when no one was really there. Compasses spin and trails loop back endlessly. Local folklore warns, never stare into the reflection for too long. So tell me, would you risk stepping into the mirror forest? Did you know in Japan, there's a clock that doesn't tell time? It steals it? In a quiet village in Nagano, an old tower clock baffles everyone who sees it. Instead of moving forward, its hands slowly tick backward. Villagers say when the clock chimes, the air grows heavy, like time itself is pausing. Travelers report losing hours while standing nearby. What felt like minutes turned into entire evenings. Some who touched the tower claimed their reflection looked older than they really were. No one knows who built it or why it still works with no power inside. The legend says stare too long, and the clock doesn't just take your time, it keeps it. So tell me, would you dare stand beneath the clock that runs backward? Did you know in Japan, there's an old umbrella said to open by itself, even indoors? In Kyoto, families tell of a paper umbrella left behind in a tea house. At night, it's found standing open, dripping water though the skies are clear. Guests who sit beside it hear footsteps circling slowly around them. Locals whisper it's a tsukumogami, an object that gains a spirit after 100 years. Those who mock it claim they wake soaked to the bone as if rained on indoors. Even today, the umbrella is kept locked away, never touched. So tell me, would you dare sit near an umbrella that opens on its own? Did you know there's a town in the U.S. where every clock stops at 3:07 a.m.? In a small town in Pennsylvania, locals began noticing something strange. Every night, exactly at 3:07 a.m., every clock froze. Phones shut off, alarms paused, even security cameras stopped recording. When time resumed, people said things had moved. Objects slightly shifted, doors left half open. Some say it's just a power glitch, but one technician claimed he watched the footage frame by frame and saw shadows walking through the frozen streets. No faces, no sound, just movement while the world stood still. Now locals call it the pause, and no one stays awake to see what happens. So tell me, what would you do if your entire town stopped, except you? Did you know there's a painting that seems to breathe when no one's watching? In the early 1900s, an artist in Florence painted a portrait of a sleeping woman. He called it La Dormiente, a sleeper. But those who saw it said her chest rose and fell, like she was alive. The artist laughed it off until he noticed the paint around her lips cracking, only at night. After his death, the painting was sealed away in a museum vault. Yet guards still report hearing soft breathing in the dark, and every few years, the woman's face seems slightly different, as if she's aging. So tell me, if you saw a painting that looked alive, would you dare look twice? Did you know there's a music box that plays a melody no one remembers writing? In the 1950s, a small wooden music box was discovered in an abandoned Chicago theater. When opened, it played a tune no one could identify. Musicians tried recording it, but every playback came out silent. The melody could only be heard in person, never through speakers or tape. Over the years, collectors claimed it changed songs, as if it learned from those who listened. Some even said they heard their childhood lullabies, songs they'd never told anyone about. Today, the box sits in a museum display, unwound and still. Yet visitors swear they can faintly hear it playing as they walk by. So tell me, if you heard a song only you remembered, would you listen till the end? Did you know there's a mirror that doesn't reflect the present? But what's about to happen? In a small antique shop in New Orleans, there's a cracked mirror no one dares to buy. The owner says it came from a hotel that burned down decades ago. And when you look into it, your reflection seems normal until something behind you moves. You turn around, and nothing's there. But hours later, the same movement happens, exactly as shown. One visitor claimed she saw rain falling in the reflection on a sunny day. Minutes later, the sky darkened and a storm began. Locals say the mirror doesn't predict the future, it reminds you it's already written. So tell me, if a mirror showed you what's coming next, would you dare look again? Did you know there's a photograph that changes its expression every time someone looks at it? In 1986, a family in Oregon found an old black and white photo at a flea market. It showed a little girl standing in front of a house that didn't exist anywhere nearby. At first, she looked calm, blank, almost peaceful. But when they looked again the next day, her mouth had curved slightly upward. They thought it was just their imagination, until her eyes began to shift too, following whoever held the picture. The family tried sealing it away, but every few months the photo would reappear somewhere else in the house. Today, no one knows where it ended up, only that everyone who's seen it remembers the same smile. So tell me, if a photo smiled back at you, would you smile too? Did you know there's a house that never goes silent, even when it's empty? In a quiet neighborhood in Maine, there's an old blue house people avoid walking past. They say if you stand near it long enough, you'll hear a low humming sound, like someone whispering through the walls. Electricians found no wires, no power lines, nothing that could make a sound, yet the noise never stops. It shifts tones, almost as if it's responding to whoever's listening. The last owner claimed it started after she found a small metal key beneath the floorboards. When she took the key outside, the humming grew louder, almost panicked. She buried it in the backyard, and the next day the sound moved there too. So tell me, if a house started humming your name, would you listen? Did you know there's a portrait that blinks, even though it was painted over 100 years ago? In a quiet art museum in Virginia, there's a painting no one likes to hang near. It's a portrait of a young woman in a red dress, her eyes soft, but strangely alert. Guards say when the lights dim, her eyes seem to follow you, and sometimes they close. One night, a curator checked the security cameras. The painting's eyes were shut for 5 full minutes. When he rushed to see it in person, they were open again, looking right at him. Experts examined the canvas. No edits, no tricks, just layers of old paint. Now, visitors claim if you stare too long, she'll blink in sync with you. So tell me, if a painting looked back at you, would you still look at it? Did you know there's a town in Nevada where people vanish? Not physically, but from memory. Locals call it Still Hollow. A quiet desert town with one diner, one motel, and no visitors. Everyone there looks normal. They smile, wave, talk like old friends. But once you leave the town, no one outside remembers you were ever there. One traveler stayed a night, posted photos online, but by morning, his account was empty. Even his closest friends swore they'd never heard of him visiting Nevada. When he drove back weeks later, the highway ended in nothing but sand. Some say Still Hollow only appears to those who already feel forgotten. And if you stay too long, it remembers you instead. So tell me, if you found a town that knew your name, but the world forgot it, would you stay? Did you know an entire town disappeared overnight, and no one knows how? In 1959, the village of Kuldara in India was abandoned in a single night. Thousands vanished, leaving food on stoves, doors open, belongings behind. Legends say a curse forced them out, one that kills anyone who tries to live there. Even today, the place is a ghost village. Visitors hear whispers, see shadows, and feel watched. Historians blame drought, but conspiracy theories whisper of mass abduction or something much darker. Did you know there's a radio station that sometimes says the listener's name, even when it's turned off? A man in Oregon found an old radio at a yard sale. Dusty, but still working. It only played one station, static, mixed with faint voices. He thought it was just interference until one night it said his full name. "Good evening, David. You're still awake." He froze. The volume knob didn't work, but the voice got louder. The next night, it said something new. "You shouldn't have turned me off." He threw it out the window. But at 3:17 a.m., the static returned, echoing softly from inside his walls. No power, no cord, just that same whisper. So tell me, if a voice on the radio said your name, would you answer? Did you know there's a marble statue in a New York museum that slowly turns its head toward whoever speaks? It's called The Listener, a lifelike statue of a woman, carved in 1893. Her face is calm, eyes lowered, hands folded as if waiting to hear something. For decades, visitors said they felt watched, though the sculpture never moved, until a night guard noticed something strange on the security footage. Every time someone whispered near her, her chin shifted, just a fraction toward the sound. Experts blame temperature changes until the head turned a full inch during a blackout. Now museum staff speak in silence around her, afraid to be the next she listens to, because every week her gaze moves a little closer to the exit. So tell me, if a statue started listening to you, what would it hear first? Did you know there's a train in Japan that sometimes skips its final station and no one inside remembers the ride? Commuters call it the Shin Kesaragi line. It looks normal, silver cars, quiet passengers, but sometimes late at night, it misses every stop, gliding through tunnels that don't exist. When the lights flicker, passengers see mountains where the city should be. The signs on the walls are written in symbols no one recognizes. Hours later, the train finally stops, and everyone's phones say the same thing. No signal. No one remembers what happened in between, only that when they step off, their watches are always 3 minutes slow. So tell me, if a train missed every stop, would you wait to see where it takes you? Did you know there's a lantern in Kyoto that's been burning for over 300 years and no one knows what fuels it? Hidden behind an old shrine, there's a stone lantern that's never gone dark, not even during storms. Locals call it Hikari no Mado, the window of light. Monks say it was first lit by a woman who waited for her husband to return from war, but he never did. Since then, her lantern has burned endlessly, flickering like a heartbeat in the dark. Visitors claim that when they stand near it, they hear soft footsteps behind them. Some say they've seen a shadow kneeling beside it, gently protecting the flame from the wind. One tourist even filmed it. When he played the video back, the flame wasn't there, just a faint outline of a woman's hands, holding nothing, and still every night, the lantern glows. Did you know there's a town in Arizona where every radio hums the same melody, no matter the channel? It began one summer night when locals heard a soft humming from their car radios. No lyrics, just a low, calm tune. Always the same 3 notes. Even when unplugged, old radios kept playing it faintly through static. Engineers tested frequencies. There was no signal nearby. A student once recorded it and slowed it down. The pattern formed a woman's voice whispering, "Still listening?" The next day, every recording disappeared from her laptop. Locals say the hum returns every year, on the same date, same hour. So tell me, if your voice could live forever, would you still speak? Did you know some people in Boston claim they've received phone calls from their own number, dated one day ahead? The first reports came from office workers, phones buzzing at 11:59 p.m. Caller ID showed their own number in the date stamped tomorrow. When answered, it's silent for a few seconds. Then a faint whisper repeats their name. Carriers trace nothing. No incoming call record, no missed data. One man finally recorded it. His voice, same tone, same words, said, "Don't go to work tomorrow." The next morning, his office elevator malfunctioned. He never took that elevator again. So tell me, if your future self tried to warn you, would you pick up the call? Did you know there's a hotel room in Virginia where the portrait on the wall changes its face every night? Room 9 looks perfectly normal. Warm lamplight, creaky wooden floors, floral curtains that sway even when the windows are shut. But every guest notices the same thing first. The portrait above the fireplace. A woman dressed in black, hands folded, eyes painted so vividly it feels like she's breathing. The innkeeper says no one knows who she was. The painting's been here longer than the inn itself. One guest snapped a photo before bed. Her smile was faint, almost kind. But by morning, the photo showed her grinning, teeth slightly visible. The painting itself hadn't changed, at least not yet. By the third night, her head had turned slightly, just enough to face the bed. Guests say at 3 a.m., the air turns ice cold, and a woman's voice hums an old lullaby from the corner. They tried taking the painting down once. It stayed gone all day until midnight. Then, without a sound, it reappeared on the wall. The innkeeper doesn't rent that room anymore, but sometimes passing guests still see a light flicker under the door. And if you listen closely, you can still hear a soft whisper from inside. Don't turn your back. So tell me, if a painting started watching you while you slept, would you still close your eyes? Did you know there's a motel in Nevada where guests wake up to find their names written on the walls? It's called the Silver Pines Motel, a small roadside stop in the middle of the desert. Travelers say it looks normal from the outside, but the front desk is always empty. You grab a key, sign a paper, and hear footsteps echoing in the hallway, even though you're alone. At night, the lights flicker, and faint knocking starts from the room next door. But when you check, the door is sealed shut, painted over like it hasn't opened in years. Some guests wake up with dust on their feet, as if they'd been walking all night. Others find their own handwriting on the walls, dates, names, room numbers. The motel's guest book? It hasn't had a new signature since 1984. So tell me, if you saw your name written there, would you still check out? Did you know in the Philippines there's a creature that walks like a human by day, but hunts like a monster at night? Stay till the end and don't forget to like and subscribe, or it might be watching you right now. They call it the aswang, a shape-shifting creature that looks just like your friendly neighbor during the day. But when darkness falls, it grows wings, splits its body in half, and flies through the night searching for human flesh. It's said the aswang can smell unborn babies, and even slither through your window while you sleep. People in old villages hang garlic, salt, or holy oil outside their homes to keep it away. So if you ever hear strange flapping sounds at midnight, don't look outside, because by the time you do, the aswang is already behind you. In America, there's a creature that crawls out of the dark and watches you sleep. But first, like and subscribe to my channel before this creepy story ends. They call him the Rake. Pale, hairless, long arms, and looks like your sleep paralysis demon finally got a gym membership. People say it sneaks into bedrooms at night and crouches by your bed and just stares. No sound, no mercy, just glowing eyes in the dark. They say it's just an internet myth, but if stories aren't real, then who's breathing behind you right now? In America, there's a man people call the Smiling Man. But before you grin too wide, like and subscribe to my channel before this story gets darker. They say he appears on empty streets at night, just standing there, smiling. He doesn't talk. He doesn't blink. He just watches, step by step, matching your every move. Some say it's harmless until he stops smiling. So if you ever see someone grinning at you in the dark, you better hope it's just a person. In the woods of America, there's something they call the Whistler. But before you listen too closely, like and subscribe, or it might find you next. People say it copies voices and whistles your favorite song. The closer you get, the louder it gets, until it stops. And when it stops, that means it's right behind you. So if you hear whistling in the dark tonight, don't hum along. Did you know in America there's a man in a bunny suit who hunts people with an axe? But before this creepy story ends, make sure to like and subscribe, or he might find you next. They call him the Bunny Man. Back in 1970, a couple was parked near a bridge in Virginia when out of nowhere. A man dressed like a rabbit burst out of the woods, screaming, and hurled an axe straight through their car window. He vanished into the dark, leaving only shattered glass behind. Weeks later, he came back. Same bridge, same bunny suit, same axe. Now locals say if you visit Bunny Man Bridge on Halloween night, you can still hear the sound of his axe scratching the bridge rails or see glowing eyes watching from underneath. So if you ever see a man in a bunny mask standing in the dark, don't look twice, just run. They say at 3:33 a.m., your reflection stops being you. But before you go testing that theory, like and subscribe, you might not get another chance. It's called the mirror game. You stare into your reflection and ask, who are you? If it smiles before you do, run. Because from that moment on, she's the one looking out, and you're the one trapped inside. In America, there's a creature people hear but never see. It crawls across rooftops at night, slow, scraping, like claws on metal. But before this gets creepy, like and subscribe so you don't hear it tonight. They call it the roof crawler. Long limbs, stretched spine, and a jaw that hangs open like it's always waiting for something. People say it moves from house to house, stopping only when it finds someone awake. If you hear scratching above your room, don't look up, because it listens for movement. And the second you check the ceiling, it drops down to your window. Most say it's just a story, but if you're alone right now, who's making that noise on your roof? In America, there's a creature that only appears when the lights go out. It waits in long hallways, standing completely still in the dark. But before this gets creepy, like and subscribe so your hallway stays empty tonight. They call it the hallway watcher. Tall, thin, and always facing you. Even when you're not looking. People say its eyes reflect light like an animal's, and if you ever wake up at night and see two glowing dots at the end of your hallway, don't blink, because every time you close your eyes, it moves a little closer. Everyone says it's just a myth, but if you get up to use the bathroom tonight, what's that shape standing at the end of your hallway? In America, there's a creature that hides on staircases after midnight. It sits perfectly still until someone walks past the dark steps. But before this gets creepy, like and subscribe so your stairs stay empty tonight. They call it the staircase lurker. Long arms, bent legs, and a smile that's too wide to be human. People say if you ever hear a second set of footsteps behind you, don't turn around, because the moment you look back, it crawls up the steps twice as fast. In America, there's a creature that lives in attic corners. It wakes up the moment the house goes silent. But before we go further, like and subscribe so your attic stays quiet tonight. They call it the attic scratcher. Its fingers are long, sharp, and always tapping the wood above you. If you hear scratching at 3 a.m., don't check, because anyone who opens their attic door never closes it again. In America, there's a creature that hides in half-open closets. It waits for someone to glance inside. But before this gets creepy, like and subscribe so your closet stays shut tonight. They call it the closet smiler. Pale face, huge grin, glowing eyes. If you ever see teeth shining in the dark, don't blink, because every time you do, his smile gets a little wider. In America, there's a creature that kneels beside beds at night. It whispers your name only when you're half asleep. But before this gets strange, like and subscribe so you sleep safe tonight. They call it the bedside whisperer. If you hear it, don't open your eyes, because people who look find a face inches away smiling. In America, there's a creature that moves across ceilings. It crawls slow until you turn off the light. But before this gets creepy, like and subscribe so nothing crawls above you tonight. They call it the ceiling crawler. If you hear creaking above your bed, don't move, because when it knows you're awake, it hangs upside down to watch you sleep. In America, there's a creature that appears behind you in mirrors, never moving, just staring. But before we continue, like and subscribe so your mirror stays normal tonight. They call it the mirror stranger. If your reflection ever blinks slower than you get out, because it's not copying you, it's studying you. In America, there's a creature that stands at the bottom of old basement stairs, completely still. But before we get deeper, like and subscribe so your basement stays empty tonight. They call it the basement watcher. If you ever see a shadow that isn't yours, don't step down, because the moment you do, it steps up. In America, there's a creature that lies on empty roads at night, face down, not moving. But before this gets creepy-like, and subscribe so your drive stays safe tonight. They call it the roadside sleeper. If you stop to check on it, it stands up without bending its joints and follows your car for miles. In America, people say a creature lives in 24/7 stores. It appears only when the shop is empty. But before we continue, like and subscribe so you don't meet it tonight. They call it the night store smiler. If you see someone standing too still in an aisle, don't walk past them, because when you turn around, they won't be there anymore. They'll be behind you. In America, there's a creature that whistles the exact tune you're humming even if you're alone in the woods. But before we continue, like and subscribe so the forest stays quiet tonight. They call it the forest whistler. If you hear it, mimic you run, because the whistling gets louder when it's right behind you. Did you know bathrooms are the most common place for extra shadows? But before this gets creepy, like and subscribe so your bathroom stays empty. They call it the bathroom guest. If you see two shadows under the door when you're alone, don't look inside. Would you dare check the bathroom? Did you know some commuters in Tokyo refuse to sit in seat 17B after sunset? Before this story begins, like and subscribe, because after hearing this, you'll never sit on a train the same way again. It started with a late-night train on the Shoal line. A man sat in 17B and felt a soft tap on his shoulder, even though the seat behind him was empty. When he glanced at the window's reflection, a drenched woman was seated right beside him, staring straight ahead, not blinking. He turned. The seat was empty. But in the reflection, she leaned in closer, her jaw slowly unhinging. The lights flickered. Every passenger stayed frozen, pretending not to notice. They say if you acknowledge her, she follows you home. When the train stopped, the man ran out, but security cameras captured something terrifying. A second shadow trailing behind him, even though he was completely alone. So tell me, if a stranger appeared only in your reflection, would you dare look again? Did you know the moon once stared back at a crew of astronauts? What was supposed to be a simple mission, just routine scans, turned into their final transmission. Halfway through the flight, the ship began to shake. In the distance, the moon moved. It drifted toward them like it was alive. The astronauts looked out the window and froze. Two gigantic eyes had formed on the moon's surface, staring straight at them. A long, cracked smile spread across its craters like it had been waiting. But before I tell you what happened next, like and subscribe for good luck. Because the moment they tried to escape, the moon opened its mouth and swallowed their ship whole. Did you know in America, they warn people never to approach someone sitting motionless at night? But before we go on, like and subscribe so he never sits near you. They call him the park bench man. If you saw a faceless man sitting alone, would you walk past him? Did you know in the Pacific Ocean, there's a creature so massive it could swallow an entire city? But before this gets darker, hit like and subscribe so you never meet it. They call it the sea eater, a monster said to stand 5 kilometers tall, with a mouth so huge it never fully closes, even when it sleeps. Its arms are sewn together from the bodies of dead sea creatures, and its skin glows like cracked cyan armor across the waves. Legends say it moves by launching itself from the ocean floor at thousands of miles per hour, gliding through the water with its jaws open, swallowing whales, ships, and entire chunks of the ocean in its path. Some crews reported seeing a massive shadow rising from the deep, visible from miles away, right before every instrument on their ship went silent. And if more than 90% of its body ever leaves the water, it collapses, sinking back into the darkest part of the Pacific. That's why every region it's been spotted in is now completely restricted. Because if the sea eater ever rises again, nothing on the surface will survive. So tell me, if you saw the ocean suddenly go silent, would you stay or run? Did you know there's a Christmas candy people say you should never eat? Because once you taste it, it doesn't just sweeten your mouth, it sticks to you. Before we continue, hit like and subscribe. This gets darker. They say a man in red gives out peppermint sticks that never melt. They stay ice cold, like they were just ripped from someone's hand. And people who lick them swear they hear breathing inside the wrapper, then wake up with tiny bite marks on their tongue, as if the candy chewed back. So if someone offers you free Christmas candy tonight, check the wrapper. If it's cold, don't accept it, because the one giving it isn't who you think. Tell me, would you dare take a bite? Did you know in Europe there's a Christmas monster called Krampus? While Santa gives gifts, this guy gives nightmares. They say Krampus looks like a mix between a demon and a goat. Massive horns, sharp fangs, a dragging tongue, and hooves that echo through the snow. On December 5th, he roams the streets, hunting for bad kids, while Santa is still packing presents for the good ones. If you've been nice, relax, you'll get candy. But if you've been bad, you might want to like and subscribe before Krampus decides you're coming with him in his basket. So be honest, would Krampus skip you or take you? Have you heard of Mr. Mascot, the creature people say follows you home at night? Legend says a man once died inside a giant blue mascot suit. No one knows how the suit trapped him for years, and when they finally found the body, it hadn't aged at all. One night, a kid was walking home late when he started hearing a strange dragging sound behind him. He turned around slowly, and what he saw was unreal. But first, like and subscribe before Mr. Mascot follows you home tonight. A massive blue mascot was crawling across the street, dragging something bloody behind it. Its hollow eyes locked onto the kid, and in a soft, broken whisper, it breathed, "You're next." So tell me, if you heard footsteps behind you right now, would you dare look back? Did you know about the teddy bear made of human skin found in California? Yeah, not exactly the kind of Build-A-Bear anyone asked for. But first, like and subscribe before one shows up on your bed tonight. Someone spotted it outside a gas station in Victorville, stitched, wrinkled, and way too realistic. When police arrived, even they thought it might be made from actual human skin. And to make things worse, a prisoner had just escaped nearby. So everyone was like, bro didn't even last a day before starting art projects. But after testing, the truth came out. It wasn't human at all, just latex. A horror prop that went viral for being a little too convincing. Be honest, if you found that bear outside your house, would you touch it or run? Did you know in Malaysia there's a spirit that follows you if you hear it cry? They call her Pontianak, the ghost of the white lady. But before this gets darker, like and subscribe so she doesn't call your name tonight. They say she appears as a beautiful woman in white, long hair covering her face, standing under street lights that flicker for no reason. But if you get closer, her smile stretches too wide, and her nails grow long enough to scrape the ground. Locals say you'll hear her cry softly behind you. The trick is simple. If the cry sounds close, she's actually far away. But if the cry sounds far, it means she's right behind you. Some people reported seeing claw marks on their windows. Others woke up to strands of long black hair on their pillow. No footprints, no break-ins, just the scent of frangipani flowers in the air. And that means she's already chosen her next victim. So tell me, if you heard a woman crying outside your house at 3 a.m., would you check the window? Did you know some Christmas elves don't work for Santa? They spy on kids at night deciding who gets taken. But before we continue, hit like and subscribe so the elf can't track you. During the day, they sit quietly on the shelf, cute, smiling, watching. But once you fall asleep, they move. Not to help Santa, not to bring gifts, but to collect secrets. They watch every lie you tell, every rule you pretend to follow, every moment you act good just to be seen. And once your name is written on their list, you'll wake up to find the elf standing closer than before. No smile, no blinking, just staring, waiting for midnight. So if you have one in your house tonight, don't break the rules. Did you know the gingerbread man is said to be baked from missing children? Before we continue, like and subscribe. People who skip this part never hear how it ends. That's why he's always running. He remembers being hunted. Every Christmas Eve, one child disappears, and a fresh cookie appears on the tray, still warm to the touch. Teeth turn into sugar, bones become crunch, and the screams are sealed behind that smiling face. Some say names are carved into the dough, only to be erased by the heat of the oven. And if you hear a gingerbread cookie crack in the middle of the night, it's not cooling, it's choosing who replaces it. Did you know people in America say there are alligators living in the sewers? No, it's not a Ninja Turtles reboot, it's a real urban legend. But before this gets gross, like and subscribe before one crawls out of your toilet. The story goes back to the 1930s when kids reportedly found an alligator inside a sewer in Harlem. After that, people believed pet baby gators were flushed down toilets and somehow survived, growing larger underground. By the 1950s, the legend claimed entire gangs of giant alligators were living beneath the city, hiding in the dark, eating rats and whatever food washed down from above. Scientists say it's impossible, the sewers are too cold, and nothing could survive there for long. But believers say they're still down there listening. So the next time you flush at night, ask yourself, are you sure nothing is flushing back? Did you know Vecna from Stranger Things might be based on something people claim was real? Before you scroll, like and subscribe because this gets disturbing. Long before the show, there were reports of a shadowy figure that attacked people through their minds, not their bodies. Victims claimed to hear clocks ticking, see visions from their past, and feel their bones locking up before collapsing. Ancient legends describe a being that fed on trauma and guilt, growing stronger every time it broke someone mentally. They said it didn't kill randomly, it chose people who were already suffering. In Stranger Things, Vecna does the same thing. He enters the mind, replays your worst memories, and snaps you from the inside out. Some fans believe the Duffer Brothers didn't invent him, they modernized an old idea. Because the scariest monsters aren't the ones that chase you. They're the ones that wait inside your head. So tell me, if Vecna existed in the real world, would you even know when he chose you?